Hello guys, welcome back to VC Tech. In IPv6 network, address assignment works very differently compared to IPv4. In today's video, we are going to fully understand DHCP version 6, what it is, why it is important, and how it works together with router advertisements. I will also explain the difference between stateless and stateful DHCP, when to use each one, and how they benefit modern enterprise and service provider network. So with that being said, what is DHCP version 6 or Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol for IPv6? It is used to provide IPv6 configuration to host. Unlike IPv4, DHCP version 6 works alongside router advertisement to control how devices in the network obtain IPv6 address and network information. Now, why is DHCP version 6 so important? It is important because it enables a centralized IPv6 address management. It also provides DNS, domain name, and network parameters. It supports enterprise security and auditing, as well as it works hand in hand with SLAAC for flexibility of IPv6 deployments. It is also essential for large and managed network. Now, the types of DHCP version 6 includes stateless and stateful DHCP version 6. For stateless DHCP version 6, IPv6 addresses are generated using SLAAC. Stateless DHCP version 6 also provides DNS and additional information. Router advertisement is the O flag, and it is always enabled. Stateless DHCP is lightweight and commonly used by ISPs. It does not require address tracking on the DHCP server. While on the other hand, a stateful DHCP version 6 assigns IP address and network information. It also uses router advertisement, which is the M flag, and it is always enabled. It offers a centralized control and address tracking, as well as it is ideal for enterprise and secure environments. Stateful DHCP is also similar to the behavior of DHCP version 4. So since we know all that, let's head over to the configuration phase and see how we get to configure a stateful and a stateless DHCP on a server and on a router. For this tutorial, we are going to be making use of one router, one switch, couple of host devices, and one server that will be serving as a DHCP server, and that is where we're going to be configuring stateless DHCP version 6. Before we do that, let's assign IP address to the interface on the network. So interface gig0/. Before we do that, remember to always enable IPv6 routing to let the router know that we are going to be using IPv6. So we say IPv6 unicast routing. After that, we head over to the interface gig0/0. We want to say no shots to bring the interface on. Then we also want to assign IPv6 link local address, which is FEAT : let's give this 10, and we want to specify that this is a link local. Then we also want to specify the global unicast address, which will be taking 2001 OBB9 : AABB : 1995:1/64. By doing this, we've assigned IPv6 address, which is a global unicast address, and also a link local address to the interface gig0/0. Now let's get into the main objective of this tutorial, which is to configure a stateless and a stateful DHCP. Let's head over to the DHCP server. As you can see, I've already assigned IPv6 address to the DHCP server, also a DNS, and the default gateway, which is the link local address. Now, after we've done all that, we head over to services, and we come down to DHCP version 6. Now, on this interface, this is where we create our stateless DHCP service on the server. So before we do anything else, it's imperative that we always power on the service. After that, we want to create pool. And remember, when configuring a stateless DHCP, it only provides the DNS server as well as the domain name. It does not provide the network prefix, just the DNS server and other information. So we want to name this stateless. Then we want to assign a DNS server to this. So DB:10 with IP of 88.8, and the domain name will be tor.com. We've created a pool. Now let's create an IP prefix. So 2001:BB9:AAVB:1995/64. So by doing this, we've created our pool. We've also assigned the DNS server as well as our domain name and our network prefix. Now, there is something very important for you to know. When configuring a stateless DHCP, it does not provide the global unicast address. It needs the help of the router advertisements for the host devices to be able to generate their own IPv6 address. The stateless DHCP version 6 only help in providing the DNS server IPv6 address. Now let's head over to the host devices and try to generate our IPv6 address. As you can see, we are able to generate our IPv6 address. As it says, IPv6 request was successful, and this was our DNS server that we configured and our global unicast address. Let's also head over to the second device. We are also able to successfully get our request, and on the last device, let's try that one more time. Yes, we are able to get our global unicast address and also our DNS server IP address that we configured. So let's try to ping and test for connectivity. So first thing first, we want to say ipconfig to get the IP address of the host device. So this is the global unicast or IPv6 address. We want to copy this. It's too long, so let's copy that and head over to this device. Try to ping the other device from this device. So we say ping and we paste the IP address, the IPv6 address. As you can see, we are able to gain connectivity to the local device in the network as our DHCP version 6 stateless configuration was accurate. So guys, this is how we configure a stateless DHCP on a server. Well, let's just have a quick recap. So first thing first, we always have to power on the service. Then we want to create the pool where we get to specify the pool name and the DNS server and also the domain name of the network. Now, since we're done with this, let's head over to the stateful DHCP. Remember, on the stateless DHCP version 6, it only provides the DNS server IPv6 address. It relies on the router advertisements for the host devices to be able to generate their own IPv6 address. While on the other hand, it is different from when configuring a stateful DHCP on a router. I'm going to show you why. So let's head over and start that configuration real quick. So how do we create an IPv6 DHCP server on a router? So we say IPv6 DHCP pool, and now we want to specify the name of the pool that we're about to create. So we're going to call this stateful. When we do this, it has now taken us to the interface or the configuration phase of IPv6 DHCP. Now, what we want to do next is to specify the address prefix, which is the global unicast address. So 2001:AAVB:1995/64. We also want to specify the DNS. The DNS, for this tutorial, when we configure the DNS, we actually gave it this IP address over here. but we are going to change that when we do that on the router. So you get to see a different DNS server IPv6 address, 2000.bdb:20:999. We also want to specify the domain name. Domain name is going to be tor.com. So by doing this, we've created our stateful DHCP pool. We also created the prefix, the address prefix, the DNS server IP address, IPv6 address, and also the domain name. Now there is something important about the stateful DHCP version 6. The stateful DHCP version 6 helps assign IP address to the host devices, unlike the stateless DHCP that only provides the DNS server IPv6 address and also the domain name. For the stateful DHCP version 6, it provides the DNS server IPv6 address. It also provides the domain name, and it helps to assign IPv6 address to the host devices through the help of router advertisements. Now, if we try to get an IP address for the host devices, since we've already configured the IPv6 address, it's going to be impossible because we've not done something else. So this server is still on. Let's power this off. So let's try to get an IPv6 address once again, since we've configured a stateful DHCP version 6. And as you can see, we are not able to get an IPv6 address because there is something imperative that we've not done on the network. And we are going to have to do that before we are able to get the IPv6 from the stateful DHCP that we configured on the router. So what is that configuration that we have to do for our host devices to be able to get IP address from the DHCP version 6 that we created? So we are going to head over to the interface gig0/0. We've already assigned IP address to that interface. First of all, we have to enable. So we enable, then we say IPv6 DHCP server, and the name of the pool that we created was stateful. So stateful. And after doing this, we have to configure something else. That configuration determines if we are going to be able to get an IPv6 address or not. Regardless if we've configured these two over here, we still need to do that one, else we are not able to get IPv6 address. As if we try to check one more time, you see now we are just getting the SLAAC IP address, which is the SLAAC, without our DNS server when we've already configured a DNS server. Now we can be able to get our DNS server IPv6 address if we do this. So we say IPv6 and we say ND manage configuration flag. Now by doing this, our host devices will be able to get the DNS server IPv6 address that we configured on the router. Let's do this one more time. So boom, you see now we have our DNS IP address, IPv6 address, and our request was also successful. Let's also go and check from this host device. As you can also see, we have our DNS service here, or we also have our global unicast address and our link local address, as well as we have the same over here. Now let's head over to our router and try to troubleshoot what we just did. So do show IPv6 DHCP pool. I'm sorry. So as you can see, it is telling us that the DHCP pool name is stateful, and the address allocation prefix is this one over here, as well as we have our DNS server IP address, IPv6 address. We also have our domain name, and we have 3 active clients, which are the 3 host devices that we have in the network. Now let's also check our do show IPv6 DHCP binding, DHCP binding. So as you can see, we have our client ID and We also have our DUID, which is the DHCP unique identifier. When configuring DHCP version 6, it does not use MAC address, rather it uses DUID. Now, the global unicast address for this device is 2FDE. Now, let's go and check which device has the global unicast address of 2FD3. So, global unicast address 2FD3, global unicast address 2FD3. As you can see over here, this device has the global unicast address of 2FD3. Let's also go and check for other device. So this other one has 1129. So which device has 1129? This device has 1129. The router helps us to provide the clients that we have on our network and also their global unicast address and their link local address. This is how to configure a stateful DHCP on a router and also a stateless DHCP on a server. We can also configure a stateless DHCP also on the router, as well as we can do the same stateful DHCP on the server. Now, there is a key takeaway for this tutorial. Always remember that when configuring a stateless DHCP version 6, it only provides the DNS server IP address and the domain name of the network, while when configuring a stateful DHCP version 6 address, it provides the address prefix as it helps to assign IP address to host devices with the help of router advertisements, and a stateful DHCP version 6 also provides the DNS server IP address and also the domain name. So a stateful DHCP server offers a fully controlled DHCP configuration on the network. Guys, this is how we configure a stateless and a stateful DHCP in our network. And I hope this video helped you understand how those configurations are being done on a network. I hope to also see you in the next video where I will be talking about DHCP version 6 for inter-VLAN routing. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next.